wants to check their microphones. We'll call the August 18th, 2026 Tourism Commission meeting to order at 4 o'clock. We'll start with roll call. At the moment, we do not have a secretary, so Alderperson Smith? Here. Alderperson Fessenmeyer?
Here.
Shelley Royal?
Here.
Mary Daly?
Here.
Luke Pfeiffer here.
We also do ex officio.
Do we do ex officio too? All right. Mayor Krause? Here. Stephanie Klett?
Here.
Comptroller Sarek?
Yeah, here.
All are present. All right, moving on to election of secretary. Last meeting, we did not appoint a secretary, so I begin asking if there's any nominations for the role of secretary.
I would recommend that you wait till the sixth person is assigned.
You can make it for one person right now.
Yep. Fair. All right. So if there is no nominations as chair, I do need to appoint or ask someone to take minutes for today's meeting. Is there someone who's willing to take minutes for today's meeting? Shelley, Mary Jo, would one of you be willing? Mary Jo, I know you've done it a whole bunch of times before. Would you be willing to do it for this meeting for us?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to agenda item 4, comments from the public limited to 5 minutes and limited to items on the agenda. Do we have anybody for public comments?
Hi, I'm Sherry Gaines, 603 Center, and I'm also Alderman for District 1. And I'd like just to make a comment on number 6, your room tax. We had somebody come to the COW meeting and explain where your money comes from. Unfortunately, we still have people who think that your money comes from property tax. So I don't know how we can get this out. I explained to him again and he looked at me and went, "Oh, I didn't know that." So I don't know how we can get this out, word of mouth, whatever, but just want you to know people still think it comes from the taxpayers in the city. We know it doesn't. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment? Time, anyone else? All right, we will move forward to agenda item number 5. The approval of minutes from July 21st, 2026. Do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve them.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to number 6, written financial update regarding room tax dollars collected, financials, and current budget disbursements, and list of outstanding paid tourism grants. Are there any questions regarding the report that was submitted by the comptroller? Do you have anything to add regarding it? If I could just take a moment and go over the last document that was in the financial reports, which is new. Scrolling. So this last meeting we talked a little bit about where we were in terms of overall spending for the Tourism Commission. This is what I was working off last meeting when I was mentioning some numbers. Laura and I worked together just to kind of make sure everything is in sync and we're on the same page. And I again put this together for this meeting. Just to kind of go over a high level of it, obviously we start with room tax distribution. So in this case here, these are room taxes that are paid by guests who are staying at hotels or short-term rentals or other indoor commercial lodging within the city of Lake Geneva. 30% of that is retained by the city, and 70% of it comes to us as the Tourism Commission. So that just kind of shows the breakdown. There's one caveat to this, which is the city gets to retain the minimum amount that was retained in the year 2010, and that's that $362,000. So in the event that their 30% would fall below that number, they would get to retain, the city would retain that full dollar amount. It was part of when the laws were changed, it was to make sure the city was still guaranteed to get the amount that they were getting when you could take a percentage higher than 30%. So as you can see, the city gets pretty much double or close to, not quite double, of what it had retained previously, even though it's a smaller percentage. The next section goes over the budget, which these numbers were approved by the Tourism Commission last October, I believe. And then year-to-date numbers and projection. One thing to note with year-to-date numbers is, I believe it's up until the audit, if I have this correct, if any of the grant requests come in that were approved the prior year, those actually go back into the prior year. But if they have not been, then they go into this year. So for example, the Knowles Nelson grant, as that's being paid out later in the year here, that's actually hitting this year's numbers, which is why we have this whole report put together. The next section just goes over the 2026 overview of funds. So one thing to note on the budget is that the budget was accidentally calculated at 50% of the amount coming to the Tourism Commission to visit Lake Geneva, where really that amount was 51% of the overall total room tax, which is 72.86% of the Tourism Commission. So in the projection column, I just adjusted that, and then I essentially took the difference away from from tourism municipal development / promotional grants. So that gets us to the $206,240 that we would, for all intents and purposes, have available as a commission this year based on funds that are anticipated for this entire calendar year. So when we're looking at this, this is what is anticipated in room tax for the entire year, and based on that, this is what we would have left. We had already committed $167,577 in grants. And one thing to note is within tourism municipal development, and we're looking at changing this for the budget next year, contain marketing expenses for the Riviera. So the knot, wedding wire, all of those were falling into tourism municipal development. They really should be separated out. And we're working towards that for the budget this next year. So that's an estimate amount. I think, Heather, we've got to sit down and go through that just to kind of get an exact. But I did not change it because we just paid out the second half of some payments. So I left it what I had last month. So then this breakdown here is where we're breaking down our actual current fund balance. So at the moment, this looks great. We have $946,000 as of the end of June. Since then, we paid out a grant from last year for honoring our military heroes over at the Lake Geneva Museum of $20,000. And we still have some additional grants / tourism development that was approved last year that's outstanding. That totals another $288,000. So that's all committed already. That brings us down to $637,000. Still looks okay. We then are expecting, based on budget, to have additional room revenue coming in, and this is room tax, this is the Tourism Commission's portion. But then there's additional remaining expenses, paying out to our tourism entity, Visit Lake Geneva, additional pay for the Riviera marketing coordinator, as well as transfer to debt service that was approved in the budget last year, which is paying a portion of the debt service on the Riviera, more specifically related to the ballroom. As a result, we have $290,000 left. So that 900 went down very quick. We then have $142,000 left of grants not paid. There is one grant from this year, We Whiskey Fest, that was already paid. And then we still have this estimated RIV marketing. So at the moment where we sit, if we were to hit room tax dollars and all grants and tourism development actually come in at what we granted, which is not always the case, we'd be down to 126. So we're going to keep putting this together every month. It's to try to kind of step through where we're at, because it's always hard to tell when you're looking at current financial statements based on what everything else is committed and what's coming up. Are there any questions on this from the commission? Okay. Thank you. I'm a numbers guy, so.
Hey Luke, on the 26 committed grants of 167, how does that reconcile to the outstanding grants down below? Or is there any correlation at all?
I'm sorry, the up on top where we talk.
on-
So the variance there is going to be the 25,000 paid to Wee Whiskey already. So when we're looking down here, we're actually looking off our current fund balance. So this 946, the 25,000 was already taken out of that.
Good, thanks.
Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions? Moving down, number 7, we do not have any municipal or tourism development grants. Moving on to number 8, discussion action on tourism promotional grant program and requests, a maximum of 10 minutes per request. We'll begin with the abominable trail race from ASR. Hey, how are you doing? Come on up.
Right, my name is Dana. We host the Abominable Trail Race. It's held on November 14th. We hold it at the Lake Geneva zip lines. This is year number 4. And we're asking for $3,000. The way that we will disperse this is 50% of that will go directly to paid ad spend on Facebook and Instagram, all the social channels. 800 of it will go to social media and email marketing support. 500 to get our Yeti out, and then 200 for printed promotional materials. We're estimating 75 to 100 overnight stays, and we get that information by post-race surveys. About 25% of our racers are known to stay overnight. Last year we had 353 racers come in, which was a 20% increase over last year, and then 25% of those stayed overnight. So that was actually 88 stays that we could track that come in, and then we partner with the hotels like Fairfield, Harbor Shores, Comfort Suites is the 3 that we partner with. So what questions?
Any questions from the commissioners?
I have one.
Oh, go ahead, Mary.
All right, can you explain the Yeti,
Yes.
Yeti sightings, the
So-
contribution there?
Yeti is our mascot. He's over 6 foot tall, abominable snowman that we like to get out around the stores. We want to encourage people to stay downtown because it's obviously a beautiful town. We host a early packet pickup on Friday evening to encourage people to come in and get those like early packets so they don't have to wait in line on Saturday. So we want them to stay overnight Friday night. It saves them time. It's like our pre-race packet party at House of Music. So Yeti comes out for that. To take pictures, but also before the race, we'll bring him out a couple times just to go around the towns to Lake Geneva. Like we'll go to all the shopping spots, just showing our favorite places to eat, to Candle Mercantile, just showing different things that you can do to make just fun things, the shore path, just, how they can enjoy the town while they're in town. So yeah, he's just a big snowman.
Fun. And you already answered my other question. I just was going to ask if you were partnering with more than just Fairfield for this one, and you said Harbor Shores and Comfort
Yeah,
Suites.
we do 3, but we also promote like the link that y'all
Yep.
provide to get them. But those are the 3. Like Bella Vista, we have people that stayed. Let's see, the Holiday Inn. I don't know if Elkhorn counts. Mill Creek, people stayed there, and then the Lake Geneva Inn.
Okay.
That people could stay at.
And then just looking at the print material, I believe the QR code goes to your registration, correct?
Correct.
So you have the logo on. I think the one thing that's missing is either the URL link to the hotel website or a QR code going
Okay,
to
and
it.
like when they go to the QR code, we'll bring them to the race registration
Yep.
site, and that's where like the description will be, and then the link to the hotel, we have a where to stay section on there that
Okay.
brings them to that.
I believe the way it's worded right now, it's actually supposed to be on the material. I
On
mean,
the
I
material.
think
Okay,
mean, I understand what you're saying, but the way the commission has had that worded, it's in there right now, is it would need to be included actually on the marketing material.
Okay, like the link or like an
You
extra
could do
QR
either a
code?
link or a QR code. It's up to you. Basically, you want to have a way to direct them to the hotel
Gotcha.
site directly from it. The intention there was to encourage bookings to actually occur in Lake Geneva.
Gotcha.
We love all our surrounding communities.
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion? Is there a motion? Is there a motion from anyone on this or any other discussion?
I guess my question is about our available funding.
Yeah. So I think that's a
That's why
fair,
I'm like hesitant
it's a
on
fair
anything, not that I don't believe in
question.
it, but just knowing where our funds are at right now.
yeah,
Plus the three-year thing that was.
that we're talking about.
This is the fourth year.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I think the trail race is newer.
Yeah, this is year 4 for.
Oh, it
trails.
is.
This was, just a reminder, this was one that was supposed to be on last month's
Yeah.
agenda as well. It was a clerical mistake that it was missed. So, I will say, much of them a numbers guy and everything, we did approve, and I think, last month we agreed to go over to approve them. So the question becomes, are we comfortable doing that here knowing that it technically sat in last month's, but and again, we're eating into that balance beyond what we're bringing in this year. No motion or anything from anyone? I'll make a motion to approve the $3,000 grant for this one. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second. Great. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Carried. All right. Move on then to the snow race.
All right, and this one we host on January 30th of next year. This is our bigger one. This will be year 12 for us. And then we're requesting $10,000 for this one. So it's a little bit harder to get people out to play, but it is our bigger event. 50% of that will be for direct ad spend, and then $3,200 for the social media and email marketing support, $1,500 for Yeti sightings. We'll get him out multiple times for this one, and then the $300 for the printed promotional materials. Sorry. We also get 25 plus states average traveling in for this. Estimated number of overnight stays is 250 to 300. Based on post-event surveys, 25 to 30% of racers stay overnight. Last year was 708 racers. At 30%, we had 212 overnight stays, estimating about 900 this year. We were down last year a little bit, and after talking with some people, we did not realize that it fell on the same weekend as your Winterfest. And so before we scheduled our date for this upcoming one, we had reached out to visit Lake Geneva to see when they were going to be doing that, because it was always the weekend after. And I think we've cleared that now.
Excellent. And obviously same thing here with the links.
Yep.
Any questions on snow race? Obviously, this one's in a good time of the year to draw in additional business. And it's good that it's not overlapping Winterfest this year.
We got some feedback last year that said they did not like that, but having a hard time getting hotel stays, because that's probably one of y'all's busiest.
Yep, yeah,
weekends.
and this helps because having it separate weekends, I think for all the hotels, the more that stuff can be spread out in the off season, it helps, as opposed to packing everything in one weekend.
That was a discussion that we had last year, so I'm glad that it was, that it was moved. So,
It always changes because it's typically have been the last Saturday of January, and sometimes that's right at the end of the month, but sometimes it's like the 23rd, 24th, and I guess that was the first time they've been right there together.
Yeah, it's those scheduling conflicts like our every 7 years where there's a week in between Venetian Fest and.
And the same thing, we'll do the pre-party the night before, with Yeti and getting people to come out. We want them to stay overnight, and it helps save them standing in line on Saturday morning in the cold.
All right. Any other questions on this one? All right, you can take a seat. I got through both of them in under 10 minutes. I forgot to. All right. Any discussion among the commissioners on this one? This is 10,000. The last one was 3, so it's a little bigger number.
I can say historically, because we have partnered with them, that we do get more room nights from this event than the trail race typically.
That makes sense. And this one is good because of where it falls. Obviously, again, this question comes down to where some of the numbers are, but I think it makes sense overall. Is there discussion or is there a motion? I'll make a motion to approve the grant for $10,000.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mary. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carried. Moving on to number 9, final discussions and evaluations. There are none for this meeting. Then moving on to number 10, discussion action regarding pausing the grant program for the remainder of 2026. So obviously knowing where we are financial-wise and the additional 13,000 here, I think it's would be prudent for the commission to formally approve pausing the program up until a time, either through the end of the year or up until a time that we decide to reinstate it. During that time, it would allow us to focus on the application process. What do we want to do for grants as a tourism commission? Where do we want to be focused? Is it grants? Is it tourism development? What is it we're really trying to accomplish and to get at, and to set some of those. I just think, again, this is going to help, because if people are going to be submitting grants and we're going to be saying, hey, we don't have the money, we might as well be more formal about it.
I would agree with that as well. I don't think it's fiscally responsible to give out money that we may or may not have. I do have a question regarding reinstatement of it and when we would start looking at them again. I do know that it was discussed, if we have any events that are first quarter of next year, they would need to present to us by the end of this year. Again, does that money go off of the calendar year in which we approved it, even if it is for 2027? So in essence, then, if that's the case, we wouldn't be approving any grants then probably through first quarter of next year.
Correct.
So
And
that it's out there too.
Yeah, and I think that's part of why I think whatever we do, it needs to be up until a time we approve to bring it back. I mean, after budgets are in for next year, we could make the decision that we're comfortable doing that, and we maybe reduce the total we give out next year, or figure out how we're going to adjust it. But that was one of my concerns, is we're trying to get people to submit early, and now they wouldn't be able to. But we're also in this situation, unfortunately, that I wish we were not in.
Yeah, I think it's just important that, we're being clear to, for future events that would want to present to us, so that they know that it's, you know, a temporary thing, and this is why it's on hold through this amount of time. We also don't wanna have out there that we don't want any events coming back here.
Yeah.
Well, you know, originally it was about new events and about events that were in off-season.
Yep.
And so, one, I think we need to know the mayor's vision for this so that we can comply with that. And secondly, one of the things that concerns me the most is that where's the real ROI? And when you give out money that is a tax, whether it's Heather or Deanna from Visit, we have to show you our metrics, we have to show you our ROI, we have to show everything in the kitchen sink. So I think that's critical as we go forward, because municipal tourism development is in great need in the city, and I know the mayor has spoken about that. But as we go forward, when is that switch gonna take place, or is it not? And so I feel like from several years back to today, the off-season stuff that's so important to this community and our local businesses hasn't been happening the way it should.
Well, and we need to go back to the grassroots essentially, to your point, and define all of that. And then, on another point of that, when Mr. Sekeres did come and present, I was there, I saw that, I saw what the return needs to be, when we're allocating these grants. So I was appreciative of having that understanding. So I think that needs to also be considered too, even when we're writing grant applications going forward.
You know, is there a mission statement for the Tourism Commission?
No.
No, and I think that needs to happen in this time that we're gonna have a little freedom to spend discussing.
Yeah, I think that's a really good idea, because a lot of tourism commissions, in fact, the majority in the state of Wisconsin, don't have a grant program at all. They use it for destination marketing organizations, because that's 24/7, and tourism municipal development. And I'm not saying, for Dennis here, I'm not saying that's where we go, but I think thoughtful consideration to a collective whole is really important.
Yeah, agreed.
Just to make everything clear for everybody, because I thought it was a jump start, and also to put rooms, you know, keep the rooms full. But then it's kind of I feel like it's sort of gotten a bit away from that.
Yeah. Yep, and what's difficult with it too is, we're trying to, essentially as a commission, we're tasked with increasing room nights in the city of Lake Geneva. We are such an interconnected set of communities around here that sometimes that can also be challenging. And I think when I first joined the commission, when I was saying 850 rooms or units available for rent, and it's actually a little less than that in the city of Lake Geneva, it kind of was eye-opening from that. So I think taking that time to look at the whole picture and just kind of start ground up, so it is clear, and making sure it's clear where the money's coming from, that these are, taxes on guests who are staying overnight, and what the goal of it is. And then obviously looking at that municipal tourism development portion, I think is critical, but we need to talk about that as a commission.
Well, I lost my voice a little bit, so apologize. I agree, Stephanie, I think it's time we look back to kind of where we started from with this. The objective for me is to promote, off-season, really. And, we're looking for new things to come to the city. And I think we need, and we'll have all these discussions in the future, but I think we also need to look at capping it at a 3-year, because the problem we're getting in, we're doing multiple years. And the big thing is, I think we need to really have a serious conversation about limiting the amount that we give any particular grant. I mean, we cashed out a couple really, really large grants last year that could have been a number of small startup opportunities for the city. So, for me, I think going kind of back to the purpose of why we give money. And then also, this is before Luke's time, but we also had a lot of discussion about municipal improvements or development in the city, i.e., new entry signs, stuff like that we can also use this money for. that frankly, we haven't used any of it, or very little of it, except for maybe the ball field. So, I think there's a lot here we need to talk about, but where I became uncomfortable over the last year or so was just giving out major dollar grants to repeated, not that they're not all worthy, it's just that that's not, I don't think that's our objective with the commission. And so I look forward to hopefully changing that up a little bit.
Well, Mayor, I made that recommendation a few years back, before you were here, and because I operated a $1.3 million joint effort grant program for the Wisconsin Department of Tourism and 4 other grant programs. And there's a one and done grant, but it's for 3 years, and it is truly for marketing assistance. But with Placer AI now, a lot of places can show that kind of growth. Now, when you're dealing grants in this area, most people don't have that yet. But it really is 3 years, because it takes 3 years to get that event off the ground. Otherwise, if we continue to do that, it becomes part of somebody's marketing budget. And I don't think this is how that was originally intended.
Right, and I think that's what we've become, right? I think we've become kind of a part of their budget, which is the one thing, Luke, I will say, I agree, we need to kind of hold the reins on the finances. However, part of me wonders if any new grant applications were permitted to come forward, things that are different and new, not repeated grants. Does that make sense? Because I'm a little cautious, Mary, about the notion of completely shutting down. But on the same token, we need to be very forthcoming that we're not giving out any large grants based on finances. So I don't know if we, talk about a limit, like we're giving, say, I don't know, 3 $5,000 grants between now and the end of the year, that might promote something we haven't seen in the city. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out as a consideration. I am a little cautious to completely shut down for that reason. And pick it back up in the first quarter. So just something to think about. I mean, we do have some reserve we can use, but I think, Luke, to your point, we don't want to be, advertising, come on in and spend a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of paperwork to submit a grant that you're not going to get, essentially.
So what would our next steps be to meet as an organization to get what you would like and what we would, collectively say, this is a really good plan? When can we do that? Because we'll definitely need some timelines, and I didn't know if that was something with you guys do a biennial budget, don't you? Is it 2 years, or is it 1 year? It's 1 year?
I'm sure Laura wishes.
1 year, it's a 1 year.
It's 1 year.
And Laura, unless you'd like to do a 2 year, we can certainly talk about
To
that.
make sure we have a timeline would be really important when we can meet and set the most important agenda items out, because, for us as a destination marketing organization, we know right now that our commercial is playing somewhere. When it's a one-time event that happens once a year, and that's all you have, that 1 day, 2, if we're lucky, 3. Sometimes there's a Venetian Fest or, like that, but we've got to really thoughtfully consider what the best bang for the buck is. And in those off seasons, to really help our businesses, especially over the next 2 years, they're gonna be hurting. And we will market the daylights out of it. That's our commitment to the city. But to hang on for 2 years is a really big deal. So we need to thoughtfully consider how we're going to best serve the city and its residents and its business owners.
One thing we can consider too is not pausing it through the end of the calendar year. I think at least the next 2 meetings, being able to do like working sessions and really focus on some of this as a commission would be a good idea. That's sort of why I left it in there, that we could reopen it, so we didn't have to necessarily say we're pausing it through October though, and then, we're gonna pause it again. I think it was easier to do it at once, and then after we meet, if we decided, hey, now we're in the spot, we've come up with being able to do these smaller grants, then we could reopen it. Just I agree, it's hard to say you wanna shut down completely, but I just don't know how right now until we have redefined as a commission where we want to be at and the process, I don't know that it makes sense necessarily to accept applications though either.
I think
The other
maybe
thing
it's,
is that we're getting into our slow months
Yeah.
of the, you're
Yeah.
getting into winter, when, that's when you want people to be able to come in and,
Fair? Yep. That was a good discussion.
so I think mayor's proposal is reasonable, definitely. And I think a good, I hate to say this, but we're kind of in a good position to be able to entertain and throw something like that out there to see what we can get then for a new event, non-peak, being very conscious that that's exactly what we're looking for. But I also think we need to probably have a further discussion maybe at the next commission meeting regarding that, and what that would look like, because I think that's,
And I really think back to basics. For me, I've only heard rumors of why the Tourism Commission was founded many, many years ago, and it really wasn't, it's something that serves true today. And so going back through its history and how we best work for this city and its people. And so having the mission, the history, and then the knowledge of how room tax works, which everybody should be educated, by now. And that onboarding process, because that's something, for me, I live tourism, but a lot of people, that's not their world. And so what's our onboarding process for this organization? And I think that ROI element is so important to be effective. And even revisiting the grant program, not just with a smaller dollar, but what is going to benefit this city the most? Because truly, I know Lake Geneva, and I respect it, has chosen to do a grant program. Most communities don't. And now that Lake Geneva chose it, the town of Geneva followed it. And now they're breaking the law with no destination marketing organization. And they just had a high-powered attorney in speaking to them about that, saying you've got to get on this now. And so their grant program it's a mess. And now they're not using the money for funds. So creating that structure that we all know we're doing the best for the people who live in the city and the businesses that are here. And that we protect that. And that we help and assist the mayor and the city council in long-term thinking about municipal tourism development. And so I just think that's gotta be where we are, that we assist the city as best we can.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie.
Well put.
Any further discussion? Is there a motion on this from anyone? If we don't take action, then obviously grants and applications will still be open and we'll listen to them.
So you're looking for a motion not to pause?
No, I think at this point, the grant program is open. It would be, the motion would be to pause the program until either a certain time point. At this point, the discussion was through the end of the year. I think there was other discussion until a time that we would reinstate it. So, if we reinstated it earlier.
I'd recommend pausing until done, till we get through the budget process, we all look at it, talk about it, and that's November. Because then once we have that in place, and you guys kind of know what you're looking at going forward. So I would probably pause September, October, November, and then possibly open back up in December. Because then, the budget's gonna be passed at council, November 22nd, I think the date is. And then you have kind of a basis to go into 2027, just a thought.
If we pause it, does that prevent us from having applicants come to us?
It would, yes.
So we potentially could miss out on something to the mayor?
Yeah, and I think that's what the concern was, which I think is it's a very fair point.
is it something we could do until the next commission meeting? I don't know.
I think just from a standpoint, I think it's better we kind of decide one way or another, because doing it meeting by meeting, I just feel like would get confusing, but, we could, to the point of the mayor, say that we're only gonna accept new events that have not occurred before, and let's just say under $5,000 for a grant through the end of the year.
And that the event would need to be hosted during.
Off-peak, yeah.
I
So,
would caution changing that so late in the year.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be a fair practice, and that's just what I'm looking at, that
fair. No, good
What's the
feedback, thank you.
mechanism? I'm sorry. What's the mechanism for getting the word out to know that that's the approach we're taking?
It would be updated on the website where the application is, yeah.
We have to make it real clear what we're trying to accomplish.
and that's why we need to go back to basics and rebuild from the ground up.
We also looked at the history in the last 3 to 5 years of events that always come forward in September, October, November, and they're repeats and they're high dollar amounts. So it's not, we haven't had any new in the last 3 to 5 years during those 3 months. So that's why those 3 months, I was kind of looking at those also. Because you really want to get seasons, so if you open up again after budget's passed, you still have December, January, February when you have the slower seasons when you want people to start coming back in the door.
Is the city Q1, Q4 with room tax?
Is that right, Laura?
Are, like, a lot of, like, I just know from DMOs, because we get from the city, they'll run Q4, 1, 2, 3. Are you guys Q1, 2, 3, 4?
I don't understand your question, I'm sorry.
We'll talk outside. 'cause I
Okay.
have
Their
no
calendar
questions.
year, if that's what you're
Just
asking.
calendar year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's calendar year.
I think that's where you're going, right?
Yes.
Sorry, I was like, what? Where's calendar year?
Okay, thanks.
So one thing I just want to note real quick too, and I didn't mention it, but the room tax year to date, through the end of June, July, we really can't count because numbers are still coming in and everything. But we were close to last year, we're about 12,000 down in total room tax collected year to date. What was interesting to me, not so interesting, is that direct is actually down 56,000. It's marketplace that is up 43,000. So
People looking for a good deal.
yeah.
We have late reporters this year too, we're dealing with.
Is that
Yeah.
right? Is there ever a penalty for late submission or,
We kind of instituted, but we never have.
okay.
He's calling from the phone and telling me to pay us.
And that's something as a commission that we'll want to talk about as well, because technically in the state statute, that is part of our responsibility to be aware of.
And Luke, some
Who's
things
paying
you
and not
know,
paying.
that there's just a $12,000 differential.
Yeah.
Right now, according to the last 3 articles from the United States Travel Association, there has been a major flattening of the American economy. And it's everything from food prices to energy prices to gas. But this is the first year on record ever that I have seen in my 35 years that normally when gas prices go high, destinations like us flourish because people are going to drive. It's the first time they've recorded that flight travel has stayed the same or increased. People have not stopped those trips, and they're stopping the shorter trips, so the drive-to trips. So I've never seen that before.
Yeah, no, and then that's actually, I've banked on that on a lot of things I've talked about from a business aspect, is the drive-to destinations and how solid they are. And yeah, this year has been
Different.
different. Yeah.
And
I
the
would
weather
agree with
has
that.
not helped. It's affecting so many people. Events with Canadian wildfires outside, you're not gonna do it.
Yeah. Any other discussion or any motion?
Just if we put in like a plan of action, so we know, hey, on this meeting, we're gonna discuss mission, history, direction that would best benefit the city, and what the mayor sees as part of towards municipal development. So we know we have that guiding star where we wanna head.
That makes sense.
And then the tightening, perhaps next, is tightening of the grant amount that is limited to, if it's gonna be like how the Wisconsin Department of Tourism does, 3 years for assistance, and then done, or if that's something you wanna say, hey, no, we want 1 grant and done, or 3 years, or however we'd like to design it.
Yep, and that's a little bit the next item on the agenda, which I've crossed over into this one. But I am going to go ahead and make a motion to suspend the grant program through the end of October, including accepting new applications unless we otherwise, as a commission, make a change. I think that's my motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mary. Just to add, I think it's a mix in between. I think, yeah, we don't want to lose anything new that might come in. This is a 2-month pause to allow us to focus on some of these areas. I think by that point, although budgets aren't approved by the city, we obviously will have to be through ours as a commission to have that already to the city. And then, you know, we can kind of set good guidelines going from there, so that way we have one crisp message coming out, as opposed to kind of changing things as we go.
Luke, just one last thing, and I'm just looking out for the city and this organization, that there's no liability to making that decision as an unfair practice or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. That's not my world.
Yeah, there's nothing in the ordinance or anything regarding the program. That's at the discretion of the commission.
Thank you.
And who controls and updates that website? Would that be Laura?
Vanessa,
Vanessa does it,
So we
okay.
can work with her on that.
Luke, if you just send something an email to Vanessa, we'll start working on it.
Any further discussion? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
You can always do a roll call if you want.
Yeah, look,
You don't have to.
I don't, yeah, no, yeah. Okay. Already said motion carried. All right, moving on to number 11, discussion action regarding changes to the promotional grant informational guide. You know, based on discussions we've had, you know, this could go off to, you know, a work session where we actually kind of, you know, the focus is on talking about these topics, and it's not all the other agenda items we would normally have. What I did is I tried to, and I mentioned last month, looking at the whole grant guide got overwhelming looking at it, so I really just tried to bring it back and boil it down to some of the changes that, you know, I'd initially proposed and we had discussed. I think the big one from this and coming out of it is working on moving the application to be fully online for whatever we do for the grant program. Vanessa started building some of those, some of that already. What that will allow us to do as a commission is to make sure the proper screening happens before it gets before us. That can be everything from if it's a larger event and they needed a special event permit, to making sure they have the right marketing material and everything in the packet. I think for applicants, it also will help guide them through what's needed a little bit better than a paper form and attaching a whole bunch of things. It'll keep it together and also allows trackability, as opposed to this form got dropped off, where is it, this form got emailed, where is it, we can't read the handwriting. So that's something that Vanessa would be able to come and show us that process and what that would look like, and we could iterate and make changes to it. So as a result of that, removed all the application components because this was really focused more on what possibly could be a modified grant program, and I think there's still lots in total here that would need to be talked about and revised. Is there any comments or anything on this today that we want to talk about?
The neighboring peak and neighboring off-peak?
So what that was intended was if the event actually occurred in the city of Lake Geneva or not, and to show, and note, just to be clear, any number that's in yellow, there was a placeholder put in. There's not necessarily a rhyme or a reason to it, other than to show variations. So, but the difference there was if the event's taking place in the city versus not, well, then it becomes to, well, what percentage of the event? Well, can you do a percentage? How do you determine that? So that just was one thing that was discussed, whether we stick to that or not. I think we would need to decide.
That's a discussion, because it is the city of Lake Geneva's grant program. And the money that I have seen used outside of the city has been the least effective spending that there has been. And so we can go over those, because after sitting here for years. And also, then is that including transportation? Because that's a whole other debate that we have to have.
Yep, so that would be part of what can and cannot be used for the grants. So I think we need to define, the more of this that we can define up front, the easier this process will become for whatever we do with grants moving forward. Mary? Mary Deal.
I just wanted to parlay that I think this is a great foundational start, and I appreciate all the legwork that you put into it.
Yeah, very much.
To the point of what our discussion has been today, going back to that grassroots and figuring everything out, I don't want to put the cart before the horse and start talking about a grant application until we've talked about the history of the commission, our mission, municipal development, where that's going to lie, so that we know after that what is the grant program then that we have remaining, what are the funds available, how do we want to make best use of that, and with that ROI component being involved in there, because I think the ROI is really valid. You know, are we getting that return on the investment that we're giving out?
And not being able to measure it doesn't help us as an
Exactly.
organization or the community lifting up
Yeah.
without measurable results.
Yeah, because I mean, to the point of, you know, the events that survey, right, for how many people say they stayed in hotels, are we seeing that in the final review? Can we see that, you know, is that something that can be done? Things like that.
Yep.
But either way, I think that a good idea is for us to, you know, plan on a meeting, the next one, starting from that grassroots and defining things and building that foundation so we can hone in on that.
No, 100% makes sense.
And we want to, like, this commission, I think we really want to be a great partner to the city and get them the most bang for their buck.
Any other comments or discussion?
I have kind of an unrelated one, Stephanie. So Geneva Township, they have a tourism commission. Can grants overlap legally or not? I don't think they can. I mean, so in other words, when we talk about an in-city versus an out-of-city grant, I mean, obviously if we grant only in-city, it's not an issue for this commission. But if we start granting out-of-city, what prevents them from going to their commission and getting a grant, and is that legal to give multiple grants,
So a person can get what they can get,
right?
but, you know, most of us that are kind of tourism purists would call it double dipping.
Well, that's my question, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
And that's why I think, you know, there are some examples I'd like to think about it first and
fair enough.
present them.
Just something for everyone to think about. 'Cause
Yeah, but we truly get to make the rules here, you know, and there are communities with grant programs, and there are communities, and don't forget this, all around this lake that are getting joint effort marketing grants, up to $39,500 for the next, 3 years. And so, you know, that could be something in the application process. Have you received a joint effort marketing grant for this? Or a meetings means business grant for this? Or a Ready, Set, Go sports marketing grant for this? So, people in the tourism world tend to know where the grant money is, and they go for it.
Right.
And that's why having that ROI process is so important.
Yeah, and the neighboring was more intended for an event that's not, the core is not in Lake Geneva, but they're gonna have significant rooms in Lake Geneva yet, so. Mary Jo?
I think it's a better idea if we're going to look at the application and revising it and trying to incorporate this. If we actually have a work session, it would be open to the public, but we can sit closer at the same table,
Yeah.
roll up our sleeves, we'd be next to each other, kind of swapping information. Again, it would be open to the public, but but we would, look at the materials, spend some time, could be an hour and a half, 2 hours even, to make sure we have everything covered and information ahead of time that we can look at, so that we can really dive into it, at least for the next month, and then see what we need after that. We more than likely won't have any grants for the next month.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's great, as opposed to sitting here and being so far away to really be, and we did that with the short-term rental ad hoc, and it was effective until we got into more formal meetings up here.
Yeah, you're not restricted to this room. You could use the
Upstairs?
cafeteria upstairs, is a little bit larger than the 2C, but I would recommend that too, it's a good idea.
That's great.
Yep. And down the road, you're not even required to have to be in here for your meetings if you prefer to have them up there, so just food for thought.
idea, because we've been talking about this now for a few meetings.
Yeah.
and Still kind of haven't really gotten there,
Yeah.
you know.
No, I think that's a great approach, and,
We're
you know,
not gonna get there until we
Yeah.
really know and
Yeah.
define who we are.
100%.
And the history. I'm very interested in the history.
Good, all right. So then, moving on to was there any other comments on that first? I don't want to cut him off. Okay, moving on, number 12, discussion possible action regarding changing the recurring meeting day and time. So we changed this meeting. But it was just this one. I know, Stephanie, you had mentioned the third Tuesday, you had standing meetings. Thank you for making it today.
Oh, yeah.
So that would be a conflict for you.
And don't worry about it, I'll be able to always make the first hour.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think the background on this, Alderperson Smith, I don't believe you were here last meeting, was to, one, not have it run into a council meeting on Monday, because there were times it had gotten close to there. My goal would be it won't be. But
I do have a suggestion
Yep.
I was talking about with staff, because we have to look at our calendars. The fourth Tuesday of the month, we have no meetings that week. So if we move it to the fourth Tuesday of the month, that gives us time for financials, prepping everything. It's just a thought, it's kind of more of an open day on the calendar.
Mary Jo?
That tends to be a week, though, that Public Works or Council are canceled, depending on what's coming up. So then we'd be stranded with the meeting, being the only one. So if you look
Yeah.
at, I mean, I just think it's probably better to keep it on the third. That way there's two meetings, too.
I'm actually be much happier if it'd be on the third, my own personal thought, but I was thinking with
You said
Stephanie.
8 and 10 part of it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because there's placing off all hour this time, and that meeting was kind of standard in the books. And I can, financial statements are easier because I have more reportability on room tax and stuff like that.
And perhaps you could customize the agenda, so if there's things for Stephanie in that first hour, you know, we can make sure we accomplish that. So
Or we could just make sure we have an hour meeting and we'll all be good to go.
Yeah.
Or we can do that too.
Hey, I'm-
That's my
I'm
goal.
I'm all in favor of it as long as we can do that, right?
Having said that, we have exactly 2 minutes to wrap up.
All right. Any other comment on this or concern? Do we have a motion then to, I'll just make a motion to change our regular meeting day to the third Tuesday of the month, starting at 4 p.m.
I'll second it.
And a second. Any further discussion?
I would only add that, make sure Vanessa puts that also on the webpage, so that change is noted.
All right, any further other discussion? All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carried. All right, moving into reports, just want to note, I talked with Alex at the bid, not 100% sure. The two of us did not know why the bid report was on here every month, because technically the bid's not under or contracted or anything from the Tourism Commission. The bid still does give annual reports to us, and that is required, and will continue to, and Alex will always come forward if there is anything to share yet. So moving on to that, we'll move on to Heather. Come on up.
Yeah, we're gonna have it go.
I can talk fast, but. Excellent, super busy month, reporting on July. Looking at the Riviera website, we had a total site sessions of 3,641, up by 16%, which we would anticipate looking at July. Top 5 traffic sources: number 1, Google; 2, direct; 3, Google ads; 4, Facebook ads; and then 5 is the Wix ads, which is actually kind of under Google ads, but it reports separately. I had 147 active inquiries. I had 151 reported this time last year, so staying pretty flush with last year. Guests were spending an average of 1 minute and 48 seconds on our website, which was up 11% from last month. Site bounce rate was 68%, which was down 5%. Looking at the Wedding Wire and the Knot, in July we had 370 visitors, 5 link clicks, 22 saves, and 29 direct leads. Looking at the hotels and lodging page on the Riviera website, we had 102 page views, which was down 38 from last month. Average time spent on the page was 1 minute and 11 seconds, which was up 29 seconds from last month. Looking at the Lake Geneva Hotels.org page, I don't know what's going on, and I tried digging into it a little bit further. We had 13,252 site sessions, which was up 888%. They're coming from Facebook, and when I dissected that down, it is all American-based. It wasn't like weird, funky stuff, so I don't know. I'm gonna see what happens next month and see if it levels out. Otherwise, I might reach out to Wix and say, okay, help me understand where these people are coming from. Because it's just weird.
And there is some weird algorithms lately too.
And it shouldn't be a Facebook ad, which was my first thought. And it's a single page website, so there's not a lot that I can pull for data, like where did they land, what did they exit? Well, they land on one page and they leave on one page, so it's weird.
So that analytic was just for 30 days?
Yeah. I mean, it's great if all these people are gonna visit Lake Geneva, but if it's spammy, it seems spammy to me.
Do these analytics come from Google Analytics or this Wix?
This is right in Wix.
They're built-in analytics.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why I could reach out to Wix. If this continues for next month, I will reach out to them and kind of see what is going on. That's the vibe I got, was like, this is weird. But because it's a single page website, there's not a lot of information I can gather. I could look at how long they spent on the site. I could look at where they were when they went on the site, and everything, like 99% was all in the US. So it's not like it was coming overseas or
Yeah.
weird,
It's
right?
really odd. Yeah,
Right?
I noticed that. I was gonna ask.
But eliminating the first one, still had 1,300 from Instagram, which we're not doing Instagram ads right now. So that was interesting to me too.
And you know what, that's interesting because they changed their algorithm, and so they got rid of millions of bots. So it should have gone down.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
Like I said, I'm gonna keep a close eye on this
Yeah.
because it is really interesting. But then for real traffic starting after that, we have our Google ad that's in place. 320 people still visited directly. And then I wanted to note some of the grant recipients and kind of show what we're starting to get for traction on those. DOS Fest had 64 visitors. Venetian Fest had 21 visitors. And then here's the other side of this that's really interesting. With all of what I would call spammy visits, the average session duration was still 1 minute and 51 seconds, which was only down 22%, even though we were up 888% visitors.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So we'll keep an eye on that. While I'm talking about the Lake Geneva Hotels.org page, it was suggested we add an events calendar onto that page. So I got a quote for it. It is a system that will keep it a single page website, and it would integrate with a Google Calendar that I could create. The cost would be $200 to have that done, which I should have. I can take a double look at what our budget's looking like. I should have that sitting as the fluff I put in the budget for anything that came in higher. My question is, what qualifies? Is it grant recipients? Is it events that land within the city limits? What does that process look like for people requesting to be on that events calendar? What are our thoughts?
I think Go ahead, Mary Jo.
Yeah, I think the intent was, and you can disagree, but the award recipients.
Okay.
That we're focusing, at least to start, so that, the hoteliers know that we have given out a grant and then that they can tap into that.
Okay, so it'll be grant recipients only to see,
Start.
okay.
Yep, mhm.
Yep,
You
and
can
that's-
always add.
And that's where I just would have to see, is the calendar the right thing, or do we list them out on the page as it is? Because we can already do that.
This was the easiest option because the website was built as just a single page landing page, and then it has all the hotels, and then you grab a link from those hotels to each hotel's website. So something like that, I think we could, but it would require a little bit of a rework on how that website lays out. So I think this could be a great starting point, and then we can just kind of build on it.
From there.
Yeah.
Any other comments on that before she moves on?
I will make sure I have the money, and then I will move forward on that. Kind of filtering through my report, comp space, not a lot has changed for 25 and 26. Moving forward, we'll have to add 27, so we're working through Winterfest for 2027 already. Looking at this last month, I closed 11 contracts, so busy. Still making movement in 2026. I have one social event contract out, and had one nonprofit returned in July. 2027, I have had 6 wedding contracts returned and 1 corporate event contract returned. I had 3 wedding contracts out and 1 social as well out for signature. Moving into 2028, I have 3 wedding contracts returned and 1 out for signature. Looking at comparison to last year, we had 57 events booked for 2025, 37 events booked for 2026, and 1 event for 2027. So we're well ahead of pace looking comparing 27 to 28. I took a further look at 2026 compared to where we're sitting for 2027, because we're just a few events
I was
behind.
gonna ask about that.
So I think 2026 is always gonna be the year to beat. It's gonna be like the record setter. So I looked back 1 year prior to compare, and we're actually sitting ahead of pace. So taking the weirdness of post-COVID 2026 rush, we're in really good shape. And based on what's been going on this last month, this could change by next month anyways, it's been really busy. Looking at total revenues, for 2026, we are sitting at $335,141 in rental revenue, and then sitting $21,000 in catering revenue. That is gonna continue to grow, and I'm gonna estimate at least double by the end of the year.
And just for clarification, that revenue goes to the city, it does not come to the Tourism Commission, or it does not offset any of the Tourism Commission costs there. But it does obviously help offset the cost the city has with the work the city has to do on it.
Luke, I have something.
Yeah, Stephanie, go
So
ahead.
first of all, it's always, I love your reports, so, and thanks for the work you do. I know the city has, spoken with Heather, and like Riviera needs to do more, non-weddings and more events year round. But even as we talk about this tourism commission, it really is a wedding venue. And 2, as a person who's been going to a lot of business conventions lately, the technology now for a business meeting, even standard one day, is insane with the 360 degree glass screens. And to keep up on that technology would be really, really hard. And I officiated a wedding this weekend, and it wasn't at the Riviera, sorry, it was at the Grand, but all 130 people there, not one of them was from Wisconsin. And it was every state here, they had a connection to that property, which is why they want it. And so what you're doing as a true diplomat to falling in love with Lake Geneva is amazing. And so that's just something that we could, talk about too, is if you really want to compete in a business event venue, then you're gonna have to go over top technology, because that is where it is happening right now. And so just again, for our strategic planning.
Yeah, I'm still continuing to focus on trying to find that midweek corporate social business.
Yeah.
They are far and few between, but still using the marketing dollars. We have a campaign out right now targeting meeting planners, administrative assistants, anybody that's using any of these keywords of meeting venue, they're getting our ads. So continuing to try, but also it is kind of a gateway. You come in, you experience it for a wedding, and now you're back.
You are
Whether
better.
you're bringing a meeting into the area or you're coming for leisure, it really does get people here.
Any other comments or questions for Heather?
Awesome.
Thank you, great job, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Deanna, Visit Lake Geneva.
Hello. So starting out with our Tourism Commission report that you have in the packet, just a note too that anything that you see that you receive electronically of our packet, all of those things in blue are hyperlinked, so there's more information, buried in there. So I just wanted to just clarify that. So our public events coming up, we are actually starting to work on our Christmas parade already. I know we don't want to hear that in the middle of, still in the middle of the heat of summer, but our Lake Geneva Christmas parade will be December 5th this year, always on that first Saturday. But for those interested in participating in the parade, our float registration will be opening up after Labor Day. And then we're also working on Winterfest and America's Snow Sculpting Invitational, which is February 3rd through the 7th of 2027. And we have put out our call for artists, our call for sculpting teams a couple weeks ago. And as many of you remember from last year, we've had our first year with international teams that we welcomed. And so now owning that competition, we do have that flexibility to do that. In the past, it was always a state qualifying event, but this really has turned this into an international event, which we're very proud of and is really, I think, helping grow the awareness of it through all of these teams that are participating. And we do have several international teams already applied, so it'll be really interesting to see. So we'll share that closer to the event date of who those teams are when we announce that. But we're accepting applications from teams through October, so we'll be announcing that in early November when we start our slow kickoff to the marketing the event. But if you'd like information on that, again, it's linked in your packet there, but it's always on our website under our events tab. So yes, plans for that as well are ongoing with all the other things going on as well. And we've also issued or created a new annual sponsorship package. So anyone interested in sponsoring any of the 4 events that Visit Lake Geneva does here in the city, you can look at it as a whole calendar year of events. Actually, we go from December's parade all the way through next December's parade, so essentially four events. But it's all there in one place, so businesses can look at what they want to get involved in a kind of a budget year and plan accordingly. So that's out on our website. It's linked to that is on all of in your packet, but also on each of our 4 event pages. Getting into our metrics, we had a wonderful July as well. VisitLakeGeneva.com saw over 225,000 visitor sessions. That was the second largest month for the year. Just behind Winterfest month. But year to date, we are almost at 1.5 million visitor sessions to our website, which is a 44.1% increase over this time last year. So we're trending really, really high with our activity on the site and to the site in all of those markets, drive markets as well as fly markets. And you'll see, again, page views are up 12% year to date. Our users, the number of people coming to the site, is up 47.9%, which shows us we have new people using the site and unique visitors coming to the site because it doesn't count repeats. Our online guide visitation is up to almost 24,000 visits as well for the year. You'll see top pages mentioned there, top cities, of course, Chicago's still in our top 10 at the very top. Social media also saw a really great month in terms of not just engagement, but follower increases. Facebook, we grew our followers to over almost 87,000 with 731 just since the last month, and had 2.4 million views on Facebook. Instagram, we're almost at 25,000 followers. I believe we are over 25,000 as of today, but as of the end of June, we were almost there. But from June to July, we gained over 1,093 followers on Instagram, which is a record. So, and we saw over 519,000 views on Instagram. So our Instagram, our LinkedIn, our TikTok continue to grow. So all of those things push traffic, again, bring awareness to our destination, but also push traffic to the website, which they can see all the things to see and do. Our email subscribers gained almost 600 opt-in subscribers, so we are sitting at 56,775 opt-in users to our email list. Visitor Center was busy this month. We had over 737 more visitors walk in. A lot of that was 4th of July. We had a lot of people in town for 4th of July. And then hotel activity, we're in the green for the month of June. And this is, again, we're a month behind with this, based on when our data comes in from the STAR report. So June occupancy was up 3.7%. We had a couple of months of very minor declines, but always kept above year to date. So as of the end of June, we are still up 2.3% year to date on occupancy. And all the KPIs in June were up. The average daily rate, the revenue, revenue per available room, all of those KPIs for the month in June were all up. So that was good to see. Our meetings and groups, RFP activity, you'll see the RFP, we had one for the City of Lake Geneva properties, which included just about all of them. That went out for an October 2026 event. And then I also added, per your request at the last meeting, a year-to-date, so you can just see month to month what it's adding up for the City of Lake Geneva RFPs, which you've received there so far. Lots of media in July in terms of articles online and in publications. We had a total of 31 media hits that you'll see there and linked for your leisure reading pleasure. With that, we also, kind of in the same realm of PR activity, we have been really busy with journalist visits. We have several coming up, but just a couple days ago, Sunday and Monday, we hosted a gentleman by the name of Joel Barish. He is the founder of Deaf Nation, and Deaf Nation is for the deaf community, and they hold expos and events all across the country. And Joel himself, he has his own social media presence as the founder of this. He also has a wonderful following on social media, but he travels around the world and he creates content, social media content for the deaf community. And so he was here over in the Delavan-Darien area on Saturday for a deaf gathering, which they do every year. I think it was, I don't know how many years they've been doing it in a row, but for hundreds of people in that area where there's a deaf school. And so a lot of the community members from around Wisconsin, Illinois, and the Midwest come to a gathering there every year at this time. But he contacted us and said, I want to find out what Lake Geneva is all about. He'd never been here before. So thank you to he stayed at the Cove, he went kayaking with Clearwater Outdoor, he went on a mailboat tour, he ate at 4 or 5 different restaurants along with a colleague of his. He was here for a day and a half. And if you want to look him up, he's on Facebook, Joel Barish, B-A-R-I-S-H. And he has 153 followers just on Facebook alone. And he's already posted 2 videos of his bike ride. 153,000.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
hear
But just, yeah. Beats me. But yeah, so it just goes to show, like, these individual contacts for a short visit here, and immediately he's gonna promote more videos as well on his Facebook and TikTok, etc. But on deafnation.com, on his personal socials, you'll see him everywhere. But just to have these videos, he was in Ecuador last week posting about Ecuador, and the week before that it was Uganda, and this week it's Lake Geneva. So it just, and just to see his followers that are all over the world, it's putting us truly on a world map with just this one really adventurous person that reached out to us. So I thought that was wonderful. And thank you, I think the Cove guests are here, so thank you guys very much for hosting them. They were very, very hospitable. So, and again, they stayed literally in the area. I wanted to give them an itinerary where they could pretty much walk to everything except the bike trail, the White River Trail. So anyway, so that was one. We also have our annual leisure media tour in September, the week of Labor Day, so right after September 8th through the 10th. So we have 10 journalists coming from there, from all over different publications, a lot of freelance writers who work for multiple publications, similar to what I mentioned and talked about after our June media tour, that we were focusing on the meetings and groups business. This is very similar, so we have 10 journalists so far. We may have a few more by September. And then also in September, the 20th through the 22nd, we have 4 journalists that are coming on the heels of the Midwest Travel Journalists Association convention or conference in Eau Claire. So I will be present at that conference, trying to mingle with all of them, but we were picked as the favorite, actually, of the post-convention fam tours, which they limit to 4 people. So I will be bringing back 4 people to Lake Geneva for a couple of days after that conference, and then they'll be flying home. I think we've got someone from Ohio, someone from Michigan, so definitely in the Midwest, but they're flying in and out of Chicago. So we'll have them. And then also that same week in September, the 23rd, Travel Wisconsin is also doing a statewide fam tour of meeting planners to different meeting destinations in the state, and Lake Geneva is on one of their stops as well. We don't know the itinerary yet from them because the Department of Tourism is handling that. So that is literally all in the scope of 1 month, where we've got travel planners, meeting planners, tour planners, etc., and leisure travel writers coming to the Lake Geneva area. So it's gonna be a great couple of weeks. Lastly, I do have some new information. I know last month I gave you a little overview of Liberty on the Lake following that event, but we do have our attendance figures in, and based on our Placer AI numbers, we took a couple different spans of time because people were in the park from very early to very late at night. So we know people came early to get their spots in the park or on the beach for the drone show and all the activities that were happening starting at our event at 5 o'clock. But all day long, the total attendance in the area from the beach through Flatiron Park was 18,148. From noon to 10 p.m., approximately when the drones finished and everyone kind of vacated the park, was 16,991. And from 5 to 10 p.m., essentially Liberty on the Lake hours of that specific event was 12,253. So really hard to gauge when they were so spread out. We knew it was a lot of people. There are people as far as you could see, but just wanted to follow up to that report with those numbers on that. And then lastly, just a couple other more things on to note. Just a reminder that the Visit Lake Geneva's 2026 Impact Awards, the nominations for that deadline is August 31st. So if you were looking to nominate someone for one of those awards, you can find it on our website, visitlakegeneva.com. There's a carousel at the bottom. You can see the Impact Award logo. Just click through there and you can read all about it. Very simple, easy application process. And we welcome your nominations. And then another media win over the last month is that we were awarded, or just say Lake Geneva was awarded on vacationrenters.com. Some of you may know that, those of you in the hotel industry. Very popular place to find vacation rentals. We were ranked, Lake Geneva was ranked number 3 as the best lake towns in America award. So a really, really good company. And then lastly, I just put a note in there about our 2025 state and local tourism impact reports. We reported on that at our July partner meeting, and so I wanted you guys to have that link so you can look at those reports yourself. There's great information on the economic impact of tourism, not just to the county of Walworth County, but also to the Lake Geneva region, which the city of Lake Geneva is the epicenter. I think I mentioned in past reports that it really is a huge portion of the county. So this year's Lake Geneva direct visitor spending was $584.4 million. That's the Lake Geneva region, which is 72% of the Walworth County amount, which was $807 million. So it, again, just year after year, just kind of keeps growing. And another note in terms of the economic impact of it, that relates to about $1.6 million a day of visitor spending in the Lake Geneva region. And again, a lot of that goes into our businesses, keeping our businesses afloat. It also helps local residents keep their property taxes down as well. So that impact touches everybody. And so the link that I provide in your packet to all that information, there's a couple studies, but there's also a really nice just single one-sheeter. There is also the actual presentation we gave at our July partner meeting, which is a slide deck of the state, the county, and then the local breakdown of all these numbers. And then there's the actual studies of the county and the Lake Geneva region, which are far more reading. So depending on your level of how far down you like to dig, you've got really at a glance and then very deep studies that you're welcome to take a look at if you like more information on those numbers. So,
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions or comments?
I have just a
Stephanie,
couple
yeah, go ahead.
things. And one is, Deanna talks a lot about earned media, right? And people call it free press. But one of the reasons we're able to get that is with our contract with the Tourism Commission, we use a chunk of that money every year, $50,000, to host 2 Geiger tours. So these travel writers that are coming in, and then thank God we have partners like the Cove and all these, hotels and restaurants that will put them up, because it's a massive undertaking, flying them in, getting them here, housing them, driving them around, picking them up to the airport. So when we talk about earned media, we've bought for that media. So we get the best travel writers here with that $50,000 investment, and we get millions of dollars of free press because of that. And so we're in the process of learning how to break down each, because the magazines are so varied. I mean, it's Condé Nast, it's Travel and Leisure, it's National Geographic. We had a 7-page spread in National Geographic as a result of the Geiger Tour. And so, again, that's not even in our contract with the Tourism Commission. And the Liberty on the Lake, that was an event we threw in, and we spent a lot of money on it, but we did not want, because it's America's 250th, man, Boston, New York City, Chicago, they were over the top. And we didn't want our hotels to lose out to these communities that were doing really big things. And so I was wondering if it would be beneficial. I would love it for my team to present truly what we do. So, you know the contract amount, but we so supersede that with earned media, with the power of the ad buys we do. Extending that contract from 3 to 5 years gave us the opportunity to do bigger buys, more important buys for a longer term, so we got a huge discount on that. And so I would love to bring my team in, because there's so many elements to the contract we have with you. And one of them is running a visitor center 7 days a week, 362 days a year. That's fully staffed with in-person. And so I think the Tourism Commission, as we talk about what the commission does, since you have a contract with us, it'd be really beneficial to have that kind of education as well.
Yeah.
If you'd be cool with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it makes sense that everyone understands, and especially as people come in and out. I think it's not always knowing what Visit does, what does Heather do, what is all being done with where the money's going. So yeah, absolutely, I think we find time to do that.
So love it.
And one of the things when Stephanie mentioned about the Geiger tours that we spend money on, we do spend money on, getting press kits out and pitching and things like that. But it almost doubles in value when other travel writers and other media see what other writers are writing about, and then they contact us and like, hey, saw your article and such. So it just has that snowball effect where the media pays attention to what the other media is doing to try to get the better scoop and the better stories. And when they see so much of Lake Geneva in the media, they want to be a part of that and have it part of their publication or whatever it is. So it just has a multiplier effect. So that's another good part of that free press, is that it's free to some degree, but then
Earned media.
We've earned it. We've earned it.
Yeah, we've earned it.
Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Stephanie. Any other questions, comments? All right. Can I entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alderperson Smith. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mary Daly, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned, 5:28.
Mary Jo,
I do.
okay. Did everybody sign this?
In September, Alyssa, I can't wait out to the past. Yes, I'm walking home, actually.